Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something pretty specific in the world of generative AI. We're moving past just text and images and into, well, building entire complex and fully interactive 3D virtual worlds.
And specifically for education and training, which is a huge shift.
Exactly. The source material we have in front of us is all about a massive new announcement. It's the launch of something called EON Genesis.
Right. This is a collaboration between EON AI Ventures and EON Reality. And they're using tech from a company called World Labs. And the claim is, well, it's that this will completely change how fast these learning environments get made.
Wiping out the content creation bottleneck almost overnight. That's the promise.
It is. So our mission today for you is to really unpack what this means. First, what can it do right now? This idea of making a simulation from a simple text prompt. And then we'll look at the roadmap. Where is this going? They're talking about intelligent, self-guiding environments.
They call it EON Sentient, right?
That's the one.
Yeah.
And the whole theme, the big picture, is about democratizing knowledge, getting rid of the huge cost and time barriers to achieve a massive global scale.
Okay, so before we dive in, let's just quickly set up who the players are, because I think their goals are important here. You've got EON Reality. They're the established name based in California, known for EON XR and their virtual campus platform, so they have the infrastructure.
They have the distribution, yeah.
And on the other side is EON AI Ventures out of Singapore. Their whole focus is on what they call AI squared.
AI plus accessible infrastructure.
Right. And their stated goal, it's right there in the materials, is to empower 1 billion learners. Genesis is supposedly the tool to get them there.
A pretty ambitious target.
So let's talk about phase one. EON Genesis, to put this in context, creating a realistic 3D simulation, say a robotics lab with accurate physics.
It's a huge undertaking.
It's a team of specialists, months of work, and often costs 6 figures. EON Genesis claims to just tear that whole system down.
It's a complete paradigm shift. Instead of manually building everything, it's about generative synthesis. The core of it is this advanced AI from World Labs.
And the input is, what? Almost nothing.
That's what's so wild. A simple text prompt, or even just an image. From that, the system generates a fully modeled interactive 3D world. It's not a flat picture. It's a space you can enter and use.
Okay, that sounds like a massive leap. So let's get specific. When you say interactive, what does that actually mean? If I type in, build me a high-voltage electrical substation with built-in safety hazards, what do I get? Is it just a cool-looking graphic?
No, and that's the key. It's the latter. The sources are really clear that these are true interactive simulations. The AI is synthesizing the underlying physics and the spatial relationships.
So in my substation example,
the objects have to work. A valve has to turn, a breaker needs to trip. If you don't follow the safety procedure, the simulation has to fail in a realistic way.
Got it.
And the examples they give in the press materials really highlight this. They talk about data centers, complex hospital rooms, robotics labs.
All highly specific, high-stakes environments.
Exactly. Yeah. Being able to spin these up instantly means training becomes hands-on and totally customizable, and you skip those long, painful development cycles.
And that connects right back to the problem of scale, doesn't it? Companies used to be limited. They could only build the training that absolutely had to have, or the stuff that was cheap to model. It left huge gaps.
Absolutely.
So if you go from development in months to generation in seconds, what are the real economic effects here, beyond just cutting the content budget?
The ripple effects are, well, they're profound. It goes way beyond the training department's budget. Think about professional certifications or risk management.
Okay.
Before, if you needed to certify 500 new technicians on some new machine, you had to physically fly them somewhere.
Right, or wait 6 months for the VR version to be built.
Exactly. That's downtime, travel costs, and a huge lag in getting people competent.
And now they're talking about creating, what's the phrase, infinite interactive worlds on demand?
By doing that, you remove the biggest barrier to adoption, which has always been the complexity and the time. It lets you iterate on training at a speed that was just unthinkable before.
So a procedure changes on Tuesday.
And the new virtual training environment can be updated, rebuilt, and sent out by Wednesday. You can reskill a global workforce almost instantly.
That does sound transformative. Let me just play devil's advocate for a second, though.
Go for it.
When that barrier to creation drops to basically zero, isn't there a risk of just infinite low-quality content? Stuff that looks cool but isn't instructionally sound.
That's a really important question. And I think the answer is in the foundation it's built on, which is the existing EON XR platform. The AI generates the world, the geometry, the layout. But the instructional design,
The lesson plan.
the lesson plan, the quizzes, the actual learning path, that's still structured by an educator inside that world.
So it frees up the expert to focus on teaching, not 3D modeling.
Precisely. You leverage AI for the heavy lifting of creation, but you keep human oversight for the instructional part.
And that connects back to the CEO's statement.
Dan Lizurska, yeah. He sees this as the real turning point in that mission to democratize knowledge. It's not just about making it cheaper, it's about giving anyone, anywhere, access to these highly specialized, expensive environments. That goal of 1 billion learners starts to seem technologically possible when the delivery bottleneck just vanishes.
Okay, so if phase 1, Genesis, is about creating the environment, phase 2, EON Sentient, is about the intelligence within that environment. What's the next step?
EON Sentient is the move from passive creation to active guidance. This is where it gets really smart. It brings in AI-driven annotation and recognition.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
Think about it like this. A user generates that virtual electrical substation we talked about. EON Sentient would then automatically go in and label everything.
It identifies all the objects?
It identifies them, labels them, the circuit breakers, the cooling units, all of it. And critically, it understands their function and how they relate to each other.
So the environment itself knows what it's made of? How does that translate to a better learning experience for me, the user?
It's the essential first step for having intelligent AI agents or guides.
Ah, okay.
Because the system knows what every object is and what it does,
Mm-hmm.
a virtual guide can give you incredibly precise, real-time feedback. It's not just reading a script. It's reacting to what you're doing.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Imagine you're in a virtual lab doing a complex repair on a robot. You hesitate or you reach for the wrong tool. The AI agent, using sentence recognition, can immediately highlight the correct tool. It could give you a verbal hint.
Or even stop you from making a mistake.
It could even virtually restrict your hand movement until you take the correct step.
And this must have a huge impact on retention, which we touched on earlier. You know, traditional video-based learning, the retention rates are famously low.
Right.
How does this kind of real-time personalized guidance change how well you actually learn and remember the skill?
It creates a learning by doing feedback loop that is completely safe and infinitely scalable. The guidance is active, it's personalized, so the learner is forced to commit the procedure to muscle memory.
But without the risk of breaking $1 million piece of equipment.
Exactly. The system guides you through the why and the how at the same time. It dramatically shrinks that gap between knowing something in theory and being able to do it in practice. That's why this tech is so valuable in fields like medicine or complex engineering.
And that all seems to tie back to their ultimate vision, a world where this kind of hands-on experiential learning is, well, limitless. It flips the whole model from passively watching training videos to actively creating whatever you need to master and building it in seconds.
That's the goal.
So to quickly summarize the key takeaways for you listening today, we're seeing a shift from text-to-image AI to text-to-fully interactive 3D worlds with EON Genesis. This is aimed squarely at breaking that content bottleneck to democratize knowledge and training on a global scale.
And the roadmap points to EON Sentient, which layers in real intelligence, real-time AI-driven guidance inside these worlds, which could fundamentally change skill retention.
Right.
And that leaves us with, I think, a final provocative thought for you to chew on based on all this material. If that barrier to creating these worlds drops this low, if an AI can build an entire complex, intelligent training simulation in just seconds, what does that really mean for the global workforce?
What's the bigger picture?
We're seeing the potential to directly link knowledge to skills, to jobs, and to income for billions of people almost instantly. So think about it. What previously impossible or just wildly expensive training scenarios are now suddenly on the table.
Like practicing maintenance on a deep-sea oil rig,
Huh.
or letting a surgical team rehearse a 1 in a million procedure.
Exactly. Scenarios where global workforce specialization becomes less about building the world and more about just engineering the right prompt.
Something to think about until our next deep dive. Thanks for joining us.